sad that he's one of the very few congressmen or senators who even took the time to completely read all 1,700 pages of the health care bill before he voted on it. He and his wife Pam have 3 children and 2 grandchildren and are active members of the Classic Memorial United Methodist Church.
I just do it old school.
We're going to have to talk loud.
You don't need that.
I use my loud voice. Listen, when Congress has a 10% approval rating, I'm lucky to even be able to go home. I have to call home to see if I'm okay there to go home. Thank y'all for being here today. I do want to thank you all, and I'm not going to speak long. I want you to get on the ride, but before I start, what absolutely makes me so proud is to look at I've gone to 3 church services this morning, and to see this crowd of people, to say, you can knock, you're a terrorist, you can knock our building down, you cannot knock our principles down, and you're here to say that. This book right here is where we derive those principles.
Amen.
The second book right here, the Constitution, which I take with me everywhere I go, gives us the freedoms that we have today. And folks, let me just say this, that our freedoms, what we have in this nation, is not given to us by large armies. It's not given to us by eloquent political speeches or beautiful buildings. It's given to us by God, our Creator. That's right. That's who gave us this right. And if we forget that we're endowed by our Creator, then we will lose our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. We must never forget that as a nation. Every day when I get up to go into the Capitol, I live on Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast, and I step across and I can see the dome of the United States Capitol, one of the targets of these terrorists. And I have to tell you, I still get, as frustrating as it is, and I will share with you a little humor here. As was mentioned, I was here in Johnson City, operated on, delivered a lot of babies, and never took an antacid in 31 years. I take a Prilosec every day now. That's the truth. That's what the place has done to me. And they managed to do it in 3 years where 30 in medicine couldn't do it. So I look at that, and I must tell you, it is a privilege to go represent you all every day. I don't get every vote right and everything right. Nobody does. My wife doesn't like some of the stuff. I don't like some of the stuff I vote on. And by the way, it was 2,700 pages I read, not 1,700 pages. It was a little longer than that, actually. But I want to just for a moment think about that morning. And I won't mention for reasons of confidentiality, but a patient I was operating on that morning is in this crowd today. I remember walking out of the operating room and walking in to do my dictation and saw the second plane go, and I then realized what had happened to our country, the assault we were under, the freedoms that and there are people out there that do not like us. And as was mentioned, as many of you have, I served in the infantry many years ago, 38 years ago in Korea toward the end of Vietnam. I've been to Afghanistan. I'm going back in a very short time from now. I can't say when for security reasons, but I'm going back to visit our troops that are doing an unbelievable job. I've also had the privilege to go look evil in the eye at Guantanamo Bay where Chief Khalid Muhammad is. And folks, I don't care whether there is a camera here on or not. I would take the keys and throw them in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with that guy. They tried to kill as many of our citizens as they possibly could, and they did. They killed a lot of people, but they did not kill the spirit of this nation, because I see it here right now. Amen. Today. I also have to stop and tell you one of the great privileges I've ever had in my life was to serve as a local city commissioner, because I got to represent some of the finest people I've ever met in my life. And that's the fire, police, and EMT people that work here. Yeah. mean that. When people were running out of the trade towers that were falling, they were running in. They didn't know if they were going to come out or not, and many of them did not come out. When we were voting in Washington, D.C. about whether to support those people or not, a lot of people in my own party said, no, it's already been taken care of. You know what I did? You probably would know. I talked to Mayor Bloomberg. I actually talked to the guy and found out what their needs were, and I supported those because I think those men and women deserve the support exactly like, and I'm going to say this maybe twice, but the first paycheck that ought to be written in this country when you see about debates about debt ceilings and continuing resolutions and on, ought to be the soldiers serving in the field. That's right. Paycheck, now, ladies and gentlemen, the last paycheck we ought to write are to the congressmen who don't make sure that first paycheck isn't written. We have a solemn obligation. I look around and see a lot of young people, and this really isn't about us. She wasn't alive when 9/11 happened. A lot of these children here today were not alive. But you all will make sure, and I wasn't alive December 7th, 1941, when that happened. But I learned about it from my father and my school and so forth. And we need to teach these children what this meant to our nation, because if we don't, there are people out there, there are terrorists that are trying to destroy the values that we hold dear, the freedoms that we hold dear. We could not be here today. We might want to go to church, we might want to assemble. The reason we can is because people have died, and this little book says you have a right to do that. We need to protect that right. Freedom is worth dying for. That's right. I want to thank you all for being here so much, and I want you to be, I'm going to pray for you. I want you to be careful out there. There are a lot of you. There are all these idiots out there texting when they're driving, so look out for them. Again, be very careful, and may God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless richly this wonderful nation called the United States of America.